Hi everyone, my name is John Wright, and I'm here to talk to you about the most historically accurate book ever written, the Bible. Now, have you ever had anyone question you on that? That the Bible is a historically accurate piece of literature? This book is the foundation of our faith. It tells us about God and Jesus Christ and how He died on the cross for our sin. Now, as we go to share our faith with people, if they don't believe this book, which is the foundation of our faith, then how can they believe our faith? And how can they stand in that? Now, this is something that, as a Christian, is very important to us. It's something that's very, very important to me. And this is a study of apologetics. Now, 2 years ago, I didn't know what apologetics was. I had never heard of it. So, very briefly, I'm going to talk to you about that and about the Bible as a historically accurate document. Now, apologetics is something that's very important to us as Christians, and something that scripturally we are called to do. You may say, what is apologetics? According to Merriam-Webster, apologetics is a branch of theology devoted to the defense of the divine origin and authority of Christianity. So what does that mean to us? Scripturally, as I said, we are called to apologetics. And in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, it reads, "But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, that when they defame you as evildoers, those who revile in your good conduct in Christ may be ashamed." So, in other words, we should be ready to make a defense for our faith. A defense that is so compelling that those that do question you find themselves ashamed of that question after you've presented your evidence. But we are to do this with meekness. So, let's talk about the Bible as a historically accurate document and the textual historicity of the Bible. Now, textual historicity is the testing of a document as historically accurate. And there are 3 criteria for it. There's the quality of the ancient manuscripts, or the copies of the original text. There's the quantity of the ancient manuscripts, as well as the time gap from the time that the original was written and that the copies were made. So, let's talk about that with the Bible. And there's so much evidence for the Bible as a historically accurate document. I can't cover it all. I can't begin to cover it all. So, I'm just going to talk about the textual historicity of the New Testament alone. And there's a lot. So first, let's start with the quantity of these ancient manuscripts, or of these copies of the original text. There are over, according to Making Sense of Your World, a Biblical Worldview, there are over 5,000 copies of the ancient manuscript, which is a lot. If you compare that to other historical documents, it's overwhelming. The Iliad, the story of the Gallic Wars, for that there are 643 copies, 643 ancient manuscripts of the Iliad. Well, that's a pretty good amount. It's a far cry from 5,000 though for the New Testament. Well, let's look at another document, Levy's History of Rome. For that there are 10 manuscripts. Well, okay. Still, an even farther cry from 5,000 of the New Testament. Now, let's also look at the quality of these manuscripts, the quality of these copies. Were errors made? There were. But what's found with the early manuscripts of the New Testament is that the errors that were made were minuscule. According to a survey of the New Testament by Robert Gundry, it's found that in these early manuscripts, the errors that were made were errors as of and the being placed in the wrong places. It in no way changed the message of the piece of literature that was copied. So we have over 5,000 manuscripts, a huge quantity compared with the 10 of the History of Rome and compared with the 643 of the Iliad. We also have that of those copies, there were very, very few errors made, errors that did not change the message at all. Let's look at the time gap, the last of the three criteria. It's found that the time gap is actually very small. The standard time gap for an ancient piece of literature between the original and a manuscript or a copy is that of about 500 years. As Mark Middleburg writes, some of the earliest copies of the New Testament, we only have to wait decades. It's found that the New Testament, the book of John, was written in AD 90. Now, the earliest manuscript of the New Testament of John is that of Ryland, and the Ryland fragments are found to be written in AD 135, less than 50 years after the original. 50 years is a far cry from the 500 years that's standard for ancient documents. So, not only is the Bible, not only do we have more manuscripts, over 5,000 of just the New Testament, not only of these 5,000 are there very few errors made that have no change to the message. But on top of that, the time gap between the original and the copies is minuscule, less than 10% of what's standard. So when someone goes to ask you, is the Bible accurate? When someone says, well, in the Bible they talk about creation, they talk about the flood for the entire earth. I mean, come on. I mean, how do we even know that Jesus existed? Well, you can compare the textual historicity of the Bible to that of other documents. And as Mark Middleburg points out in Confident Faith, these documents, such as the Iliad and Livy's History of Rome, are well-trusted pieces of history fact. But there's so much more evidence for the Bible as fact. So yes, our faith is based on the words that are written on these pages. Our faith is based on the Bible. And our faith in Jesus Christ is not just something that we feel, it's not just something that sounds good, but it is something that is historically accurate. So my challenge to you is to go out and to take this message and be confident in your faith, and to build even more confidence by learning more about this message, by learning more about the historical history of the historical accuracy of the Bible, and to learn more about apologetics, and to go forth and to share this message. As it says in 1 Peter chapter 3, that we are confident in our faith, and that we can build a great defense for the faith that we have in our God, Jesus Christ. Thank you for your time. Have a great night.